The guest staggered away and went up to her room. A sigh of relief slipped out between my twisted lips. There was one thing I was sure of. The employee standing next to me had just done something that the real Jang Hee-woon would never have done.
Mr. Mascot, shall I bring in the next guest?
Pardon? I'm a staff member you hired, working at this resort.
The staff member glanced at the mascot's eyes, but soon answered brightly, just like any employee at cheerful theme park.
I'm the HR manager of this resort.
My name is Bison, sir.
The nickname signed on the contract, the employer's name on the contract. With a devastated heart, I stared at the employee wearing Jang Hee-woon's face, whose identity I could not gauge. And finally, I asked. The staff member in the yellow mascot mask paused for a moment.
A colleague from the previous company I worked at before getting this job at the resort. I was very grateful to them. I remember you, Mr. Mascot, were also a member of the security team there.
The reason he worked at Daydream Inc., the most desperate goal in his life. If I reminded him of the essence of who Jang Hee-woon was, maybe.
I wanted to save my precious family. I was an orphan and grew up in a facility, but 3 years ago there was a huge fire, and all the family I lived with died in it. I just barely survived, by chance. I tried to die too, but they told me I shouldn't, so I tried to save other people. If I did that, yes? Understood, Mr. Mascot!
I couldn't listen anymore. I was losing my mind.
But it turns out all of that was meaningless obsession. I feel so fulfilled and happy working at this resort. Because it's a wonderful resort run by the amazing Mr. Mascot. I'm sorry. That was presumptuous. I'll work even harder for you and the resort. No, Mr. Mascot, you can do anything. This resort runs entirely on your decisions and will. I'm honored to work at a place.
After that, I returned to accepting guests at the front desk. The staff member with Jang Hee-woon's face seemed a little nervous for a moment, but when another guest approached, he went right back to acting like a cheerful theme park resort employee, which only made my mind go cold. I really shouldn't have heard all that. That sense of rejection when you hear someone's deeply personal, desperate story in a far too light, careless, and offhand manner. I was honestly relieved that I'd cut it off before hearing even more details. Is there really truly no way? I even took out the operational guideline document I'd used like a manual and picked up my pen. I repaired one staff member. It took some effort, but it seems like he became an even better employee through the repair process. Very satisfied, it gave me goosebumps. I forcibly twisted the pen. Very satisfied, but being an excellent employee isn't necessarily the same as being a good employee, so I'm trying to find a way to return things to normal, but the pen won't stop. However, there is no such way. All I can do is think about how to run the resort better. I decided not to waste energy on meaningless worries. I will exist solely as the mascot of this resort. I picked up my pen and finally managed to erase all the notes. My breath grew rapid inside the costume, but the mascot did not falter. I can't let this shake me. I need to get out quickly. Something is going wrong. But first, to do that, I needed to successfully expand this resort one more time, as quickly as possible.
Requirements to expand resort facilities satisfied guest. 300 mascot ceremony rights.
For now, at this rate, I'd reach 300 satisfied guests in no time. Honestly, judging by how many guests flooded in today, I'd probably hit the goal within a day or two. Why does the social distancing concept work even for ghost stories? If it were before, I might have found it infuriating or funny, but now I really didn't care. The real issues were above and below. Staff and the ceremony. 3 additional staff members. One way was to tempt civilian visitors into taking a job here, using a night's stay as bait, just like before. The problem was, how many people could I actually persuade like that? And if someone died while working here, who would be responsible? Those people don't even have basic gear like a mask. There was also the question of whether my own mind could handle it. Gruesome, but I'd learned about it from the recent incident. I called for the standard mascots. Then, I asked them about the whereabouts of certain things they had stashed away. Specifically, the 2 corpses that Supervisor Lee Songhae had dragged in with her. I was going to check if I could revive those corpses and use them as staff. The standard mascots led me to the back of the resort building. It was a place where only mascots worked, where human staff avoided and guests were forbidden from entering. Among those spaces, they guided me to the cold storage section in the room service warehouse. 2 mascots were standing guard at the entrance.
Freezer storage. Lock confirmation required.
I was about to open the door, imagining the corpses inside. As a mascot, I could see it immediately. The corpses were not in the freezer. The 2 standard mascots guarding the freezer were the employees' corpses themselves. The corpses had turned into those standard mascots, just like how Jang Hee-woon's corpse became an employee. The mascots stared at me. I almost stumbled back, but my identity as the resort's operator kept me upright. Then the mascots, creatures that, in a sense, I recognized as extensions of myself, approached and tried to goosebumps crawled down my spine. That means all the standard mascots here are. There must have been corpses wandering in the resort ruins. I was raising up people who had died who knows when, and using them as staff. This was a terrifyingly creepy resort. Wait a minute. If you think about it, it's not the resort's fault. Corpses end up buried in graves and become nutrients for nature anyway. But if they became nutrients for this wonderful resort, isn't that better than simply decaying for bugs and weeds? Yeah, if someone's already dead, it might actually be better to make good use of them. I barely managed to calm myself, letting out a sigh of relief. Anyway, reviving the corpses to use as staff was a failure. Maybe because I didn't make a separate contract, they're not recognized as individual beings. Still, there was one silver lining. Jang Hee-woon was still counted as staff, not just a standard mascot. In other words, he's recognized as an individual, not just as a mascot with no self. Even if he didn't have a mascot appearance, it's just because I allowed staff to maintain a human appearance. I squeezed my eyes shut. No, I wanted to, but the mascot head prevented it. This situation is spiraling out of control. The weirdness of the ghost story was starting to show itself blatantly. I'd been so focused on running things, but now that I took a step back, I realized things could get far worse at this rate. I had assigned Ladybug to keep a close eye on the 2 powerful staff, Section Chief Lee Jae-hyun and Supervisor Lee Seong-gae. But I couldn't load all the burden on him forever. I have to get out of this insane resort as soon as possible. No matter how dazzling this resort is, or how much care I put into it, this is something I can't avoid. I need more information. Ironically, now that Jang Hee-woon is a perfect staff member for the resort, I can leave him in charge of the front desk while I move around. If I give him instructions, he'll carry them out precisely. I've gained a bit of freedom of movement. So, on this 4th day, my evening plan was this. I left the resort building entirely and walked down the road. I went straight to the gate leading to Blue Dream Water Park to meet the blue mascot. The blue mascot, standing on the other side of the gate, tossed aside the booklet it was holding and ran over. A bizarre being who turned my ride ticket into a membership card. They even treated me as a missing person and put out a wanted notice after I escaped through the gate. The more I remember, the more that cute blue dragon exterior feels unsettling. Just seeing them now brings a sense of calm. I walked up right to the gate and waved my hand at the flustered blue mascot. Perhaps realizing once again that we couldn't cross into each other's zones, the blue mascot looked a little downcast, but soon enthusiastically waved back. Some visitors nearby smiled as they watched the 2 mascots waving at each other across the gate.
Came to see you.
And then I realized something odd. I can hear them more clearly. It's like, beyond the short phrases unique to mascots, I can also hear a deep, grand voice, like the one I once heard before. But unlike that time, there's no crushing pressure that makes me cough up blood. It just transmits a pure will, as if imbued within the words. Maybe because we're both mascots? Right now, the blue mascot's short words seem to carry both. You finally came to see me, and I'm really happy and thankful that you came to meet me. So mascots can communicate this richly with each other. Huh. If that's the case, the visitors around us probably don't understand these meanings. It means we can communicate more directly.
I'm basically asking, why did you invite me here, saying we'd have fun at the theme park, only for me to end up having to work even in this place?
Hearing that, the blue mascot fidgets anxiously and answers. Then the blue mascot shows me some kind of vision.
Creating a shared zone between the yellow zone and the blue zone.
That's it. My 3rd facility can be made from this.
That way, we can spend time together. Then I'll be able to cross into the blue zone. and the blue dragon can come to the yellow zone too. Guests will have twice as many rules to follow, but it'll be twice as fun. And since our rules won't be in conflict, it's definitely possible. We can cheerfully enjoy each other's theme parks together, spending eternity in this marvelous, cheerful theme park, happy and cheerful and 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 happy and cheerful.
Barely, I managed to pull myself out of that vision. I almost just went along with it. It feels like the blue mascot's will is contaminating me. Not good. Even without malice, it's dangerous. Trying to do more right now would be suicide. I waved my hand, speaking to calm the blue mascot.
Like, what if I just quit being a mascot and cross over into the blue zone as a guest instead?
But the blue mascot sadly hangs their head.
There has to be.
There must always be a mascot in an active theme park zone. So I can't just quit being a mascot on a whim. I figured it'd be something. Still, if I forced my way out, the consequence would be this yellow mascot would remain as is. But the me that's not a mascot would separate from the mascot and disappear. If I'd already become deeply fused with the mascot's identity, all of myself and power would be sucked into the mascot, leaving not even discarded scraps behind. It's only the 4th day. I haven't been assimilated with the mascot to that extent yet. I haven't lost myself to the point that quitting as mascot would make my very existence disappear. I know who I am. I'm fine. The me who isn't the mascot can leave. With trembling hands, I barely managed to grab onto the gate and lean against it. A swirling mix of wanting to tear off this mascot costume right now because of the creepiness, a resistance to the question of whether I actually could take it off, and the comfort and security provided by its softness and coziness. The blue mascot speaks, fidgeting anxiously. It wasn't the blue dragon's intention for me to become the resort's mascot, but even about that, it's as if they're saying they could offer full help and advice. They seem to be giving their wholehearted, and then from somewhere, other blue mascots start running to the gate all at once. They each have an envelope in their hands. They gently toss the envelopes over the gate, and I catch one successfully. Visitors nearby clap as if they're watching something entertaining. Inside the envelope, which I opened a little, inside were 100 blue and red coins. It seemed like the blue mascot was settling accounts for the accommodation event they held on their own. But, wait. The blue mascot looks a bit triumphant. But it seems that a mascot who has run their own area successfully for a long time becomes rich. It doesn't look like they're overexerting themselves, so I'll just accept these for now. I can invest these in the resort. No. I might need them for something else. I tucked the envelope into the pocket at my mascot belly and pulled myself together. As soon as I open the 3rd facility, I need to get my ticket stamped, quit being a mascot, and escape. I can't take it anymore. Hurry up and recruit additional staff, then hold the mascot ceremony. The plan hasn't changed. Just do it as is. And my instincts as a mascot were telling me I should return to the resort soon. If I leave my post too long during operating hours, that's neglect. I should quickly ask the blue dragon what I need and go. The blue mascot raised their hand. Their ceremony was fireworks. Beautiful lights exploding over the water park, reflected on the water's surface, evoking memories of his beloved deep sea, though now faded. Wait, what? Anyway, it's some sort of signature theme park event. Apparently, you can choose the ceremony to fit your mascot's taste. For example, Magic Bunnies seems to be a parade. It'll probably be similar for me. The blue mascot looked even more pleased. Then they hurriedly grabbed something else brought over by another version of themselves and handed it to me. A product that, when eaten, causes you to vomit out seawater as a form of contamination. The item's description isn't very precise, but since it originated from a ghost story, I haven't used it except in desperate, urgent situations where there was no other way, but now the creator is right in front of me. I picked up the churro and waved it. The blue mascot looked at me blankly, as if confused by the question. They're saying there isn't any special intended effect. I looked at the churro. If it's just a natural description, usually when you eat ghost story food in a ghost story, what happens? In countless legends, what happens if you eat food from a strange and mysterious place?
You become a part of that world.
If a human eats food from the theme park, they gradually change into a being suitable for this theme park. So that's why all those other contaminations were vomited out. Things that don't belong in the theme park. The realization sent a jolt through my head, but instead of excitement, a cold shock took over. It's completely useless for Jang Hee-woon. The Jang Hee-woon, who was revived as a staff member, is already a being perfectly suited for the theme park. Because he's a ghost story now. There won't be an effect at all. I need to do what needs to be done. I moved on to the next topic. I used my forepaws to gesture the shape of a soft plush doll as I desperately appealed. The Good Friend doll. It originally came from the cheerful theme park's souvenir shop, and it was one of my main reasons for coming here. But the blue mascot shakes their head. Right, it wouldn't really fit the theme to sell a plushie in a water park. They'd sell cute tubes instead. Damn it.
Then is there any way to get it from the Magic Bunny Zone?
To summarize what the blue mascot said, Magic Bunny is a lunatic.
Do you really think something from that souvenir shop will actually help you?
Hearing it like that is a bit. Either way, the blue mascot wasn't wrong. But still, the good friend's power was proven in the... It shouldn't be any different, no matter the zone of the theme park.
You said you'd help with anything.
Finally, the blue mascot drooped their horns and ears but nodded. But it seemed like they would try. Still, they kept reminding me to absolutely avoid Magic Bunny and never go near that zone.
Of course, I'll keep that in mind, too.
It's a relief that the blue zone is in between, at least. I grew quiet, recalling the terrible sight of the red team where only Supervisor Lee Seong-hae survived. Now that I think about it, it's really a mystery how Supervisor Lee managed to survive outside after business hours ended. Something happened at the resort. The yellow mascot could sense it. Something had happened in my area. I need to know! The blue mascot looks at me calmly. It's impossible to tell amongst the blue mascots which one was a special individual and which ones were just standard mascots. Every mascot costume is the blue dragon, and the blue mascot can freely move all of their bodies as they please. All the blue mascots are them. The blue zone is theirs, the yellow zone is mine. I understood that lesson as if under a spell, and thus the me who was in the resort. I focused my consciousness on one of the standard mascots, and then when I blinked, I was a mascot standing guard inside the resort. But before I could even be surprised or disoriented, I was confronted by a shocking scene. Section Chief Lee Jae-hyun was restraining Supervisor Lee Seong-hae in the lobby. Next to the tied-up Supervisor Lee was someone's limbs strewn about like garbage, blood soaking the lobby. Employee Ladybug, dead. A knife was stuck in his neck, blood gushing out in spurts. He must have died trying to stop the bleeding. Hands also covered in blood, and blood had also splattered onto Supervisor Lee Song-hae's uniform. Every sign pointed to one conclusion. Supervisor Lee Song-hae killed Employee Ladybug.
Erg. Section Chief, it's fine. I did everything I needed to do.
But Section Chief Lee Jae-hyun did not release the restraints. However, when our eyes met, surprisingly, he seemed to realize that the standard mascot was me. He picked up the bound Supervisor Lee Seong-hae and brought her over to me.
Oh, Mr. Mascot, you're here.
Supervisor Lee Song spoke in her usual calm voice.
Can you take the cost of reactivating that one over there out of my salary? I'm fine even if I don't get anything from the souvenir shop.
Supervisor Lee Song-hae looked at Jang Ha-woon. At the employee who no longer wore the bison mask, just a resort staff member.
And if given the chance, he'd kill someone else too, so you can't just let him be. Honestly, dying actually lets them be reused in a way that benefits the resort.
But do you know what the real problem is? Somewhere there's a part of me that feels relieved. What's more, the guests aren't shaken up at all. Some of them even clapped as if they'd just seen an entertaining show, or tried to tip Supervisor Lee Seong-hae. It's an even bigger problem. It should have been me, the mascot, to punish Ladybug. Whether I made him serve the horrific, toxic bath users in the spa, forced him to run round on foot for room service, or made him do whatever the guests wanted. That was my decision to make.
But Mr. Mascot, you're just too good. Stuff is best handled by someone who doesn't get stressed out like me.
In the end, I had a standard mascot assign Supervisor Lee Seong-hae to spa cleaning duty as a demotion. Honestly, rather than a real demotion, it felt more like a show of punishment for overstepping authority. I don't know whether I should be grateful, scared, or horrified. Ha! I gritted my teeth and even revived Ladybug. Whether this could really be called reviving, I'm not sure.
I'll work hard, Mr. Mascot.
With that, the number of casualties reached 2. 2 human beings were replaced as perfect staff members. Section Chief Lee Jae-hyun somehow seemed to be quietly watching me, but I avoided his gaze and went to the front desk. But there, too, was the staff member in Jang Hee-woon's form. God damn it, seriously. Work faster, escape faster. Then, as I was welcoming the next guest,
Team leader, look. Daydream bastards.
Yeah, I've got eyes too. I've seen those maniacs more than once during disasters. Stop making a fuss.
that familiar term of address. Their voices were soft, almost whispers, but since a standard mascot was nearby, I could hear it.
Still, you have to note that there are people here working just fine. Got it, Gamyong?
Tina, Gomyong, Garnish. 2 people in Disaster Management Bureau jackets were approaching the front desk. The one called Team Leader looked down to earth, but somehow tough, and stepped forward to speak to me.
We're here to ask a few questions.
And the team leader explained as she looked at me.
I heard a guest who looks similar to us, wearing a hoodie and jeans, checked in recently.
This was obviously a response to that person's call for help, which means these people are one of the other Black Tortoise teams. And I'd seen Team 2, the team next door, coming and going for weeks, but these people were strangers. That means only one thing. Black Tortoise Team 3.
Could you tell us which room that guest is staying in?
I barely managed to reply to Black Tortoise Team 3's leader.
You're really strict about professional ethics, huh?
The members of Black Tortoise Team 3, who had been staring at me blankly, soon shifted their gaze to the staff beside me.
Pardon me, isn't there some other way? I apologize, dear guests. As Mr. Mascot said, here at Flower Golden Resort, we absolutely cannot disclose the personal information of our guests. Is there anything else we can help you with?
At that moment, the team leader's face hardened as she studied the staff member. She stepped closer, checked over the build of the front desk employee, and then looked into the eyes behind the yellow mascot mask.
Site cleanup rookie?
She recognized Jang Hee-woon.
Why is he here? Wait, this isn't a registered site. That's why only 2 people were assigned, right?
Yes, that's right. And as far as I know, that rookie was on vacation.
The 2 agents fell silent and stared at the staff member with Jang Hye-woon's face.
How can I help you, dear guests?
A small curse nearly escaped the Black Tortoise Team 3 leader's lips, but she swallowed it. Still, the 2 of them quickly regained their composure, showing the calm typical of people used to situations. They looked at me with cooler eyes than before, but did not forget their reason for coming.
You said you can't tell us what room the guest is in. Then please call the guest for us. Tell her we're here.
I gladly accepted that request. The civilian, startled several times, at first wouldn't answer the phone, and then, even after finally picking up, dropped the call in terror a few times or cried, but in the end, believing she'd been rescued, she finally came down. In the process, the guest broke a few things in the room.
Sorry, I was just so startled. I'm really sorry.
I politely held out both hands to the civilian, but of course the civilian couldn't pay. Realizing this, the team leader pushed her aside and stepped up to face me.
Even without money, is there some other way to pay you back?
I gestured toward the group. Then I made a bold suggestion. The civilian I pointed to froze. The agents immediately moved to shield the civilian, and the team leader calmly confirmed.
If we say we'll work, do we end up like that?
She gestured to Jang Hye-woon.
Or can we work like the other employees?
If I were just a mascot, I might not have understood what that meant. The Black Tortoise Team 3 leader studied me as if gauging something. After several tens of seconds passed, she finally declared,
Fine. The 3 of us will work here. Yeah. Just think of it as good work experience. And
She glanced at her sneakers. Or more precisely, an item attached to their laces. It was most likely that kind of item. The agents ended up protecting the civilian, and it seemed they intended to look for a chance to rescue Jang Hye-woon as well. The 3 took the employment contracts, read them carefully, and signed. And with that, the staff requirements were all fulfilled. Now for the last thing. It's time to set up the ceremony.